evening and thank you for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra and here are the headlines we are tracking. Banks indicate they need more time to implement the new FEMA rules imposing a 20% tax collected at source on forex transactions. Say software and operational issues make a July 1 rollout difficult. Travel agents and tour operators write to the Prime Minister requesting that some of the tax rate hikes be rolled back. Some relief for Go First. Lenders give an in-principle nod for interim financing of 425 crore rupees to support day-to-day operations. Sources say that the Go First resolution professional is likely to submit a revival plan within a week. India wakes up to full-page advertisements featuring social media influencers along with the IT ministry's logo. Registered investment advisors raise concerns. Social media backlash results in a government clarification. Minister of State for IT says the government logos were used without permission and that the government does not endorse any content creators. The management of crisis-hit Byju's attempts to assure investors. Sources say Group CFO promised to close the FY22 audit by the end of September and FY23 audit by December. Claims the resignation of directors from the board has nothing to do with Deloitte resigning as the auditor. Initial public offering of India's largest drone maker, ideaForge, fully subscribed within 2 hours. The issue was subscribed nearly 4 times. The retail portion was subscribed more than 12 times. Bids can be placed till the 29th of June. Pen maker Flair Writing challenges the territorial jurisdiction of Director General of GST Intelligence at the Gujarat High Court. Questions show cause notice issued by Surat Unit for tax transaction in Maharashtra and Uttarakhand. The court issues notices to the government and the GST body. Shares of ICICI Securities hit a 52-week high. The company's board will consider a proposal to delist shares from the exchanges this Thursday. Sources say the proposal will involve shareholders getting ICICI Bank shares in exchange for ICICI Securities shares instead of cash. Russia seeks to restore calm after the Wagner mercenary group halted its advance on Moscow. Belarus brokers peace between the mercenaries and Kremlin. The aborted mutiny in Russia reveals cracks in Putin government, says US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Manipur remains tense as Home Minister Amit Shah briefs Prime Minister Modi after his return from the US. Chief Minister Biren Singh described the situation yesterday as very chaotic as ethnic tensions continue to simmer. Protesting wrestlers say their fight against the Federation chief Brij Bhushan Singh will happen in court and not on the road. Says their demand for a charge sheet has been fulfilled as they await the results of the Federation elections in 2 weeks. Singh is facing allegations of sexual misconduct among others. We will come to all of that in just a bit, but first to the market action of the day. Market closed with minor gains after a range-bound session. Sensex and Nifty ended marginally in the green, while mid-caps perked up in trade with the index gaining nearly 1%. Reliance, TCS, HDFC Bank dragged the market, while Adani stocks recouped a part of their losses. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that banks are not yet ready to start collecting 20% TCS from customers on foreign spends from the 1st of July. While banks have sought an extension in the deadline, tour operators are urging the government to roll back the 20% rate to the earlier rate of 5%. Sapna Das joins us more. Sapna, what are banking sources telling you?
Well, banks at their end are indicating very clearly that they are not ready for this July 1 deadline of the rollout of the new TCS regime. They seem to be indicating that there is the issue of multiple rates of TCS. For example, on 19th May, the government had said that up to 7 lakh rupees, there's going to be an exemption for individual spends on international debit and credit cards, for instance. So you have a 0 rate up to 7, then beyond 7, it's going to be 20%. Similarly, you have a separate rate for education expenditure financed via loans, something different for health. So basically, the banks are indicating that probably they need some uniformity and clarity from the government at this end. And as far as these multiple rates are concerned, if that's going to be the norm, then the systems are not ready and they will have to look at a deadline much beyond July 1. Now, the government had indicated in the past that they'll be coming out with a quick clarification, but that has not happened yet. So it remains to be seen what the rates are going to be, which are going to be those categories, and whether this July 1 deadline is going to be adhered to by the government or some relaxation would be possible on that front.
The industry is expecting some more clarity on the matter because, like you have already called out, there are a lot of administrative challenges, with the implementation. So we haven't still rolled this out, and we are hoping that we'll get some more clarity before we roll this out on 1st of July. If you look at it in terms of administrative challenge, the biggest challenge is what the banking industry is going to face.
We hear a 20%, which is quite a shock to the industry, because I think it's making us absolutely beyond the competitive borders. So I think we're going to get very, very expensive. So there's going to be a huge displacement of business from the Indian travel agents. And that's what the travel industry and the travel agents are very concerned about, because they are looking at losing out the business to the foreign travel agents or the foreign OTAs also who are not registered in India.
All right, let's see what the government says in the days to come. Moving on, ICICI Securities will likely consider a proposal to delist shares from the exchanges at its board meeting this Thursday. The move is likely to see shareholders receive ICICI Bank shares as part of the proposed scheme of arrangement. The company's shares hit a 52-week high on the news. On to the latest in Puneet Goenka's hearing in the Securities Appellate Tribunal. SEBI has raised questions on how related entities secured 200 crore rupees to pay back Z. The market regulator alleged that this funding was made available by Z via multiple layers. The SAT will continue hearing the case tomorrow. Remember, Puneet Goenka is seeking relief from a SEBI order which bans him from holding any key managerial position in any listed company. IT giant Infosys has bagged a $454 million order from Denmark's Danske Bank. The 5-year deal will entail Infosys acquiring the bank's IT center in India along with its 1,400 employees. The IT major expects the transaction to be completed before Q2 of FY24. Moving on to Go First, the airline's lenders have given an in-principle note to extend interim financing to the airline in a voting process that ended over the weekend. Sources say that post the key approval, the Go First resolution professional may soon be able to submit a revival plan to the aviation regulator, which is the DGCA. Ritu Singh has been tracking this story and has all the details.
That's right. We've been given to understand from our sources that the resolution professional of Go First is likely to submit a resumption plan for the airline within a week's time, which marks a key step really in the ongoing efforts to revive the airline. We understand that this resumption plan for Go First will be submitted to the DGCA for its consideration and clearance and will propose to start operations as soon as possible with 26 aircraft that are currently in the airline's possession. Now, this comes after the Committee of Creditors to Go First gave an in-principle approval to extend interim financing to the tune of 425 crores or more to the airline to help it resume operations and, of course, manage the day-to-day expenses. However, do note this is going to be a conditional nod. Lenders that we've been speaking to indicate that the final nod for extending this loan is going to be contingent on Go First getting the security clearance and the no objection certificate from the DGCA to restart operations, and only once that is in place will the banks then approach their individual boards for a green signal for extending this fresh loan. Now, financing is going to be a critical component for the airline to resume operations, and therefore this in-principle note from lenders will help strengthen its case before the DGCA. But of course, that's where all eyes are now going to be. The ball is really in DGCA's court as of now. Go First, remember, has cancelled all of the flights until the 28th of June as it stitches together this revival plan. The airline was admitted into the insolvency court last month, has dues of more than 6,500 crores, and that includes to lenders like Central Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, Deutsche Bank and IDBI Bank.
And financial influencers who have been on the regulatory radar are in the news again. An advertisement with a photograph of YouTube-based CA Rachna Ranade appeared across national dailies along with the IT Ministry logo. Mr. State Rajiv Chandrasekhar responded to a tweet by veteran journalist Sujeta Dalal on the matter. The minister clarified that ads do not mean the government endorses the content creators. Shivani Bazaz joins us now. Shivani, tell us more about the ads and the outcry.
Well, yes, the new advertisement featuring YouTuber CA Rachna Ranade has sparked a new debate on social media and has angered a lot of registered investment advisors too. Remember, the problem with this particular ad is that it has logos of METI and India G20 seemingly showcasing their support to the advertisement. Many financial experts on Twitter and other social media are questioning why the government is endorsing particular individuals. However, MOS Electronics and Information Technology Rajiv Chandrasekhar has clarified on Twitter that the usage of METI logo does not mean that the government or the ministry endorses any person or digital platforms in any way. The minister has also added that he has advised more careful usage of government logos in future. We have also reached out to Google and YouTube as their logos were also on the advertisements. Some registered investment advisors that CNBC-TV18 spoke to said that the advertisements are problematic because it gives an impression that the financial influencers are the real expert when it comes to investment advice. And those who have registered with SEBI for the job are being burdened with compliance even for regular communication with their clients. Important to note that SEBI has been cracking down on financial influencers in the past who have offered investment advice without the requisite registration and licenses to make sure that the retail investors do not fall for wrong, free-flowing advice on social media and other internet sites. Recently, SEBI had barred PR Sundar, a influencer with over 1 million followers in YouTube, from securities market for a year for providing advisory services without the requisite registration.
All right, thanks, Shivani, for joining us. Let's shift focus to another big story. Pen maker Flair Writing has challenged the territorial jurisdiction of Director General of GST Intelligence at the Gujarat High Court. The company questioned show-cause notices issued by the Surat unit for tax transactions in Maharashtra and Uttarakhand. The court has issued a notice to the government and the GST body. Shares of IPCA Laboratories came under pressure after the US Food and Drug Administration flagged issues with its facilities in Madhya Pradesh. The drug regulator issued Form 483 with 8 observations after concluding an inspection of the 23rd of June. The IPCA lab said it will submit a comprehensive response on these observations to the regulator. EdTech major Byju has assured investors that the startup will finally release long-delayed financials. This comes soon after Byju's auditor and 3 board members stepped down in 1 week. Speaking to shareholders on Saturday, the company's founder, Byju Ravindran, also expressed confidence in strengthening all processes with the help of the General Counsel and the newly appointed CFO. Shruti joins us with all the details. Shruti, what is the latest that you're picking up from Byju's?
Yes, Byju Ravindran and the new CFO at Byju's addressed shareholders on Saturday. Now, sources tell us that Ajay Goel, the group CFO, said that his primary focus has been closing the audited financials since joining. He committed to closing the audit for FY22 by the end of September and the FY23 audit by the end of December. He also provided the reason for appointing BDO as the auditor for the next 5 years. Now, founder Byju Ravindran too expressed confidence in strengthening all processes with the help of the General Counsel and the newly appointed CFO. Sources also tell us that the board members, Naspers and Sequoia, also confirmed that the resignation of Auditor Deloitte and board members were unrelated. Outgoing independent directors also said that Auditor Deloitte had been causing delays and complications in the results. Addressing shareholders, Byju Ravindran said, and I quote, "Byju's is not my work, it is my life." End of quote. He also highlighted his personal investments in Byju's and mentioned that all the secondary sales done have been invested back in the company at the $22 billion valuation. Now, despite the challenges, he said most business verticals are performing well and acknowledged the company's past mistakes and assured shareholders that his learnings far outweigh any missteps. Meanwhile, Byju's has also been making PF contributions with a lag of almost 3 to 4 months, according to data sourced from EPFO by Money Control. In fact, for some employees, the data showed that Byju's made PF contributions for December only in June. When we reached out to Byju's, the company said, and I quote, "This is to confirm that there are no pending PF payments towards employees, there are no dues," end of quote. However, according to the EPFO data, only about 10,000 to 13,000 employees have received PF payments for January, February and March. The majority of employees are yet to receive PF payments for April and June. Clearly, lots of learning for Byju's. And with that, it's back to you.
All right, thanks, Shruti, for joining us. Let's move on. India's biggest drone maker, ideaForge, launched its IPO today. The company aims to raise over 500 crores. The IPO has been oversubscribed nearly 4 times on day one itself. Yash Jain is here with the details.
Well, that's correct. A very, very strong response on day one for India's premier drone maker, that is ideaForge Technology. Just to give you a sense of what the response was like, in the first 30 minutes of the issue opening on the day one itself, the employee portion as well as the retail portion was oversubscribed by 12 noon, that is in the first 2 hours. The entire IPO was fully subscribed, and at the end of the day what we had was the total subscription standing at 3.7 times the QIB portion. Of course just 1% because large part of demand comes here on the final day. HNI portion getting subscribed 5.1 times, retail portion at a staggering 12.5 times, and finally the employee portion at 8.5 times. The indication that we've received from the market is that the grey market premium or GMP is nearly 80% to the upper end of the price band, commanding a premium of anywhere between 525 to 530 rupees per share. Just to run you through the schedule as far as the share allotment is concerned, the finalization of bids of allotment will happen on July 4th. The refund unblocking of ASBA fund will happen on July 5th. Credit of equity shares to the DP account holders will happen on July 6th. And finally, the trading as far as the shares are concerned will take place on July 7th.
Right. Thanks very much, Yash, for joining us, telling us about the ideaForge IPO as well. And Yash will be reporting on that story in the days to come. We're going to take a short break here on India Business Hour. But coming up, Russia seeks to restore calm after the Wagner mercenary group halted its advance on Moscow. Belarus brokers peace between the mercenaries and the Kremlin. Details when we are back.
नया डाबर कूल किंग ठंडा तेल, देखिए इसकी चिल ट्यूब का चमत्कार। बताओ डाबर कूल किंग का फंडा, कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा, चिल ट्यूब के गोले ठंडा करे फुल बदन और सर दर्द यूं हो। अपनाओ डाबर कूल किंग का जबरदस्त ठंडा।
How do you start an iconic movement? Mannerism would say it's all about refinement and richness of invention. Classicism would say it's all about form and craftsmanship. Impressionism might answer it's all about capturing the magic of every single moment. While Surrealism would find all of this quite, well, surprising. After all, it's about creating the icon of a new movement. Welcome to Forwardism. The new BMW i7 and the new BMW 7.
ये गर्मी, सर दर्द और थकान, कुछ कर दे यार चमत्कार।
नया डाबर कूल किंग ठंडा तेल, देखिए डाबर कूल किंग की चिल ट्यूब का चमत्कार। आओ बताओ डाबर कूल किंग का फंडा, कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा, प्यारा जड़ी बूटियां एक जादू सा कर दे, ठंडक आइसी कूल थर्मोमीटर डाउन कर दे, चिल ट्यूब के गोले ठंडा करे फुल बदन और सर दर्द यूं हो जाए गुल, ठंडक ऐसी छा जाएगी नींद चुटकी में आ जाएगी, कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा।
चिल ट्यूब में है पेपरमिंट और कूलिंग क्रिस्टल्स के साथ 11 आयुर्वेदिक जड़ी बूटियां दे राहत और तरोताजगी।
छोड़ो पुराना फंडा, अपनाओ डाबर कूल किंग का जबरदस्त ठंडा।
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
नया डाबर कूल किंग ठंडा तेल, देखिए इसकी चिल ट्यूब का चमत्कार। बताओ डाबर कूल किंग का फंडा, कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा, चिल ट्यूब के गोले ठंडा करे फुल बदन और सर दर्द यूं हो। अपनाओ डाबर कूल किंग का जबरदस्त ठंडा।
फिक्स डिपॉजिट खोल दूं?
नहीं यार, सेविंग्स अकाउंट।
एफडी इज बेटर। एफडी मतलब हायर इंटरेस्ट बेबी।
सेविंग्स अकाउंट मतलब पैसा पास में बेबी।
एफडी
सेविंग्स अकाउंट।
हाई इंटरेस्ट से तकलीफ है क्या?
एफडी तोड़ने की पेनल्टी से तकलीफ है।
FD
Savings account.
Kotak Active Money. अब FD वाला इंटरेस्ट सेविंग्स अकाउंट में up to 7% per annum.
Active
Money.
नया डाबर कूल किंग ठंडा तेल देखिए इसकी चिल ट्यूब का चमत्कार बताओ डाबर कूल किंग का फंडा कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा चिल ट्यूब के गोले ठंडा करे फुल बदन और सर दर्द यूं हो अपनाओ डाबर कूल किंग का जबरदस्त ठंडा
Russia has sought to restore calm after Wagner mercenary group halted its advance in Moscow. Russian media has reported that criminal charges against Wagner group chief Prigozhin has not been dropped. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that Wagner's rebellion revealed real cracks in the Russian government. NBC's Kelly Kobiela is here with the report.
We still haven't seen President Putin publicly since that extraordinary statement on Saturday when he vowed to crack down on the rebellion that was happening in real time in Russia. We have, however, seen his defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, the Ministry of Defense in Russia this morning, putting out video claiming to show Shoigu meeting with troops in Ukraine, but we can't confirm when or where that video was shot. Another unknown this morning, the status of Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the Wagner group of mercenaries, that group that led the rebellion on Saturday. He was promised a safe passage to Belarus. He hasn't been seen until the overnight hours of Saturday when he was shot. He was seen. He was in video leaving Rostov-on-Don, that southern city in Russia that he and his troops had taken over during this extraordinary 36-hour rebellion. In a short clip of Prigozhin, he can be heard saying the result of this rebellion was, quote, decent. We shook or cheered everyone up. But again, Telegram channels now silent for the past 36 hours or so, and no sign of Prigozhin. That incredible and extraordinary rebellion took place over about 36 hours, with Prigozhin first lambasting the Russian military establishment, claiming that the justification for the war in Ukraine was all based on lies, that Ukraine and NATO never planned to invade Russia. What impact will it have in the battlefield in Ukraine? Still unknown.
All right, so a lot of fast-paced developments taking place in Russia, and we've not really seen the final picture emerge as yet. Moving on to news from back home, wrestlers say they will continue fighting the battle against Federation Chief Byju Bhushan Singh, but in the court and not on the streets. In a statement, the wrestlers said the government has fulfilled their promise of filing a charge sheet against Singh for alleged sexual harassment. Wrestlers also highlighted that they will wait for the implementation of assurances made by the government with respect to the Federation. Close to 3 lakh people in 15 districts in Assam remain affected, even as the flood situation saw a gradual improvement. 874 villages are currently underwater. More than 200 commuters, including tourists, were stranded on the Chandigarh-Manali highway after heavy rainfall in Himachal Pradesh's Mandi district triggered landslides and led to a heavy traffic jam. The Mandi administration said restoration work is underway. On to the latest from Manipur. Union Minister Amit Shah has briefed Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the steps taken to restore normalcy. The briefing comes a day after Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh described the situation in the state as chaotic. Eyewitness accounts from Manipur paint a ghastly picture of the situation in the state. Archana Solanki spoke to 3 victims of the ethnic violence who have fled the state and are now in Mumbai. Here is their story.
Where he was brutally killed by the Meitei Arambai Tengal in front of his wife, his newborn baby, and his mother. Day before the incident, his wife had delivered in Imphal hospital since she had through C-section. These discharges are late. As soon as they discharge, the ethnic cleansing violence erupted in Imphal. And no place to go. They hid at some place they thought to be safe. His wife was also tortured. Due to this, her wounds were septic, and she was taken to Assam Rifles camp where she took shelter there. All my house was burned down. I have two brothers. One brother, his wife was pregnant. He had to flee in the mountains to reach to another district. Do you know what? It took him a week to carry his pregnant wife and finally reach Nagaland, and they managed to deliver a baby, his baby. And let me go on to this uncle of mine. He is from the same village as I am from. That very night, they were in the Assam Rifle camp. His son, who is about 6 to 7 years old, was hit by a sniper. And somewhere in between, this whole lot of Manipuri ladies called Meira Paibis, they blocked the way. They shouted, these are people, these are tribal people, they need to be hacked, they need to be killed. And it was then this mob came around, they burned the ambulance straight away. And the only thing left was their skeleton.
One of my closest friend, my best friend, who is my high school mate, was murdered on the third night, 3rd May. He was beaten up and unconscious, and he was thrown into the burning fire of his house. After the 4th and 5th, I don't recall the exact date, but I heard that he was burned alive on that night.
Disturbing reports coming in from all those who fled the violence in Manipur. You can catch that full story on our website, CNBC-TV18.com. You can also watch our page on YouTube as well. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC-TV18.